Hi, my name is Teresa and I'm an intermediate designer for C3 and I'm about to explain you certain things you need to know before we start with the task seen in Greenery. The task is basically make a greenhouse, but what's a greenhouse? A greenhouse is a construction that most of the times has a metallic structure, but it can be wood or plastic depending on what you want. And it's basically used to cultivation and protection of different plants. It must have a cover that allows the passage of the sunlight but not the rain into the interior because it has the objective of reproduce or simulate the environment that is better for the plants to grow. It also must have a certain independence from outside the environment, which means it doesn't have to depend all of the time of the sunlight or the quantity of water that falls because you can let rain pass, which then means basically is that you need its own heating system, its own watering system, its own ventilation system inside the greenhouse to reproduce as better as possible the climate conditions that are better for the plants. Now we're going to explain type of plants, types of greenhouse, the insulators, and the possible calculation you will need to make to this task. Let's start with the type of plants. Greenhouse plants are used mostly as leaf, root, tuber, or fruit vegetable crops, but it can also be used to ornamental plants, which are mostly known as flowers. This is because inside the controlled environmental conditions, it allows the crop production to increase, which is better for the population and everyone in general. What does a plant need? In natural conditions, it needs sunlight, water, land, and wind. In artificial conditions or human-produced conditions, besides this one, you need specific temperatures, fertilizers, and repellents. Now let's go to the types of greenhouse. How does the greenhouse affect the plants? The shape of the greenhouse will affect in which side of the plants receive the sun. For example, if you are choosing a greenhouse that goes directly to the sun, they will receive the sun this way. Well, if you choose a greenhouse which receives the sun from another angle, you must have that in account when you are putting the plants in a certain way. This will affect the internal temperature and as well the quality and the type of plant that you can grow in there. A greenhouse must have its own ventilation system. If necessary, it must have its own temperature system in case you don't want to depend completely on the sunlight that are getting into the plants. And for security, you must have a power generation system because in case that the energy goes down, you will be able to keep the temperature correctly as well as the watering correctly, among other things. Now let's talk about insulators. Insulators is basically any material that keeps energy such as the heat from transferring through another wall. This wall can be wood, plastic, rubber, glass, basically any material. This is important because heating costs will reduce the levels of efficiency of the cheap benefits gained with the greenhouse insulator. And it becomes more important when you need to maintain a higher temperature to counteract with the coldness that is on your location. For example, Edmonton is really cold in the winter, so you must have really good insulators so you keep the temperature properly inside the greenhouse and it doesn't get too cold so the plants won't die. Now let's talk about the calculations. About the heat transfer, that's basically the only calculation you will need to make, can be defined as Q, which is the heat transfer, the one you want to be taking, U, which is the overall heat transfer coefficient that will be in the list of materials you will be receiving that day, A, the wall area, you will be needing to calculate from only one of the walls of the greenhouse. So you need to calculate the area of the wall, and then you can calculate the heat transfer. And finally, DT, which means the temperature from outside the wall, that will be basically -5, and the temperature inside the wall, which need to be 20 degrees. That will be it. I hope you have a great C3 and good luck to you all.